So in Keane versus State, we're looking at an exception to the hearsay rule for records of religious organizations concerning personal or family history. This is a terrible case in which there was this sect in Texas that was accused of sexual exploitation of minors. And as part of the case, the prosecution wanted to offer the records of the church about certain things like births and particularly marriages for reasons that are, pretty awful. And one of the kind of odd arguments that the defendant makes, or one of the defendants makes on appeal, is that these documents don't qualify as records of a religious organization because this particular church is, in the court's language, an extreme breakaway sect of the Mormon Church. And so the court just dismisses this claim because it says, in fact, the court even has some difficulty interpreting the brief that was filed, saying, we gather what the appellant is arguing is that because this church is not mainstream in its teachings or philosophy, that it therefore doesn't qualify as a religious organization for the purpose of this rule of evidence. And it's kind of ironic, that the argument is being put forward by a person who is part of that organization. And so anyhow, you can imagine in this case, there may have been some tension between the lawyer and the client on this, or the client is just trying to do anything possible to prevail in this appeal. But it's an odd argument. The organization I was a part of was so out there that you can't count it as legitimate. That really is the argument that the defendant finds himself making on appeal. And the Texas court says no, that there is no kind of requirement of philosophy or doxology or anything like that, that to qualify as a religious organization with regard to this particular rule of evidence. And you really can't imagine how a court would find itself in a position of trying to decide what a quote-unquote legitimate religious organization is as opposed to an illegitimate one. But the defendant finds himself in this odd argument saying that the group I was part of is not a legit religious organization, even though we claimed to be one. So the court will not delve into questions of doctrine of faith to determine whether this particular exception for the family records of a religious organization are admissible under this hearsay exception.